which means that we or anyone else for that matter can start contributing to it if that makes sense. And there are people who seems to be contributing in the product, which makes good sense, as in you still can go to the github.com, clone the repo, and then start doing a pull request and send it to Microsoft, and they go through it, and if everything looks good, they add it into the product. And this picture tells me so many things, and this is how I have expected the future of nav or business central. But this looks super cool, and the way I'm looking at it, there is a platform layer, which is cool. There's system application, which is actually a collection of small utilities. So when you open the system application, you see that they have broken that app into different apps within itself. There are different modules, like for QR code, for math, there is a separate folder, and we'll see it if that makes sense. But then on top of it, it says W1 base application. And maybe I'm overthinking about it, but are we going towards a direction of FNO where you can have multiple localization on top of the phone? I don't know. But you guys are reading about it, because if you read the text, it says local features for country localization.
Yeah, it sure looks like that way.
Yeah, and that would be a great addition to the product, because this is something which was missing for a very long, as it was, you know, was a need. When you have a business in different parts of the world, you actually need to have different companies on different localization, for lack of a better word. So let's see how this look like going forward. The other thing that I think I read that going forward, uh, the application area thing is already happened, right? No, what was changed? Was that application area, Sandeep sir? We
No,
don't need to specify.
no.
Okay, so yeah, so till now when we create a page, we have to forcefully define this application area on each and every field, right? Microsoft is planning to remove it so that whatever is defined on your main page will be considered as the application area for the whole page itself. So you don't have to indirectly specify it on every page when you are writing a new page in Business Central going forward. What else was there? We did saw the split one.
Did you get a chance to review the latest what's new?
I'm working on it slowly, I guess, but let's quickly see if there was something else. Uh,
There were a few things, few additions, which were good.
yeah, so there are shortcuts, I guess, which are not written anywhere yet. I might have to take a printout of it, uh, which are multi-cursor softwares about how you do things in Business Central. So let's see. But yeah, I'll surely wait for the videos that come from this into the MyBoost website, and then we can. And yeah, if you remember, we talked about the exclusion permission set that Microsoft did announce in the last release, but for some reason it seems it was delayed. But now looking at this slide deck, uh, it seems they are they are very near to kind of complete that piece. So people who don't know it at this moment, uh, you can have a exclude permission set. So let's say you are super, but even then, or if you are a super data where you can read any data in Business Central, even then a IT person or an administrator can say that, oh, but you can't read item ledger entry, customer or vendor ledger entry by just marking them as exclude in the bigger permission set. It doesn't seems to be working on BC21, but I'm hoping it'll work in the next release, or maybe in the actual release when it comes with the BC21. And the cool part is that you can also define it on the object or on the method even. So now you don't have to actually define permission for your extension. You can actually define it on the procedure itself, and then it kind of inherits those permissions that you have defined there. So these three are the major changes that are coming on the permission side in the future version. So hopefully this version, next version. Okay. What else was interesting? I might make a list of items that I know. Maybe we'll talk about it later. But yes, Sandeep, sir, which one you are saying, and maybe we'll talk about that first if that makes sense. That's not a problem.
What's
Usually
new?
fine.
Business Central
Here,
2022 Wave 2.
yeah, here it is.
Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
not a problem.
Changing to actions also, I think something new in
Yeah,
or
and
in the
yeah,
BCT, like
thanks for
permission. This is also something new.
thanks for reminding that because as far as I read it, and I might be a little bit wrong around it, but the way Microsoft have changed it, we might have to redo some part of that action update in in our existing extension. Uh, because rather than, and let's look at a page if that makes sense. Let me open the base app if I can. Okay. Because yes, I remember this conversation. I was discussing it with someone else, but at the same time, the problem is, oh no, the solution is that I saw that AZAL extension is actually up to date and it can give you a tooltip based on which you can uh, redesign your action bar, for lack of a better word. Let me see if I find it. Customer card. Okay, here I am. Okay. So let's go into, let me go back here. That stops the search. Okay. If I go into the actions area. Oh, okay. Here. So earlier we used to have like this, and I'm hoping I'm on the right version. Just look as it is. But then there is a new property that they have added, or a group for I'll have to check that where it is. There is something called as action reference that's available, I guess. Yes. So now you have promoted ones that we used to promote so that they are visible in the minimized form. It seems that they are coming up with this change where you can define just a group of uh, promoted categories, let's say in this case, and then this is different categories that you have on your page actions. And then we can place those items here. And then there is a way to even using extension, you can also place your custom actions into this area using the X and ref. So I don't know how much destructive that will be for our existing extension, or will it be or not? I'm not yet sure. But that's how you start putting your actions as promoted going forward. Rather than, you know, trying to figure it out 10 times and see is there a space available or not. You can actually define different groups, and then those groups will utilize the action ref to pick that action and show it as promoted. Because was there anything else? I guess that was the only thing on action ref, right?
Yes, This is the thing actually, the action reference things. As of now, this
Yep.
is much.
Same here.
However, we are also waiting for some videos, as you said.
I'm actually waiting for October 1 once the release is available so that we can have the the VSIX file so that we can start testing
Yes.
this.
Yep.
Because then another thing that they added is this split button, which is kind of a, if you remember working on Classic, it looks like this, which is a very common thing in Classic, right? That you have a split button. Now this is called a split button, which you can also define as a property of the group. And then that group kind of shows you a split menu when you are on that page. Now, how much it impacts our existing extension is something that need to be taken care as the release announce. And then the navigate is gone as we were talking about in the last meeting. And then now in the personalize, you can also move actions, which was not a thing till now. It was available as a menu, but it used to do nothing. In the personalization, you can only move fields or hide or show fields, but actions were not available. But with this release, the personalization will also allow you to move and hide actions which are on your page. And I hope this is the last change on the on the action ribbon because yeah, sometimes it gets a little bit tricky when you think about it. But yes, Sandeep sir, anything that you were thinking which was super interesting and maybe I haven't seen it?
Development, the first 2 points. Did we have a chance to look at it?
No, not actually. Let's see. Oh, application area thing was just discussed here. So, okay, that may be that's surely coming in this version then. Okay, this is Azure functions from AL code. Now connect to Azure functions from AL. Authenticate to the function. Issue a GET request specifying a dictionary of query. Get response as a function. Hmm. Okay, that sounds
So
cool.
for people who are using this, DLLs, they are now forced
Yeah,
to write it to Azure functions. Now there's a .NET interop component.
right. That makes sense. This would be great. As in, I haven't wrote a Azure function, but yeah, if it is there, I'm pretty sure there are other use cases of it, like the printer thing, right? The printer thing in some specific bar font cases is a nightmare, and then people are using DLLs, which if they can now write in Azure functions, and with this, they'll be able to connect to it. But okay, that's something that we should surely be testing as the product becomes available. And then this one is override entitlement with inherit permissions. And yeah, people who don't know about entitlement, I guess we did talk about it in the layered way, but in previous meetings. But inherit permission only allowed extending roles permission. If a developer give a fewer permission than the license and entitlement, the change does not affect the user. If the developer give more permission than the license and entitlement, nothing above which is granted by the license and entitlement is considered. Hmm. Okay. But then inherit permission is just at the function level, right? That you do allow this method to be called, and you are saying that for this method, I'm defining this inherit permission set so that this method can be called even if user does not have the permission,
True.
right? So I guess that's where this will come into picture. Hmm. Yeah, I normally park development once, Sandeep sir, to a later stage. I don't look at it till the product actually becomes available because then you can actually put your hands and try it out. Right now, it's more around what's available because all this without touching will be of no use at this moment. As that's how I guess my brain processes this.
A few
Okay.
things which they have
Yeah.
added. was this view SQL logs during
Yeah,
debugging.
I
And
saw that in Twitter when in my Busu conference also.
and GL posting aggregations.
GL posting aggregation. Okay, what about this? Our invoice posting buffer thing, is that gone?
Gone,
I haven't gone.
gone.
Great. Okay, so a lot of work need to be done, I guess, starting next month as the release becomes available. Okay, so yeah, we then went to a sidetrack. We were there, but let's start the session. This is a 97th PC open discussion. We have two questions. We'll try to cover them as quick as we can, and then we'll go into what else uh, in continuation to what we are talking about, the next release. So people who are in this meeting and not part of the default attendees, they can just drop their name and email in the chat. Otherwise, you can go ahead to this link starting tomorrow and register yourself for the next meeting. Okay. Question number one, which I am never able to answer because it's super confusing to me. Because if I'm not correct, sorry, if I'm not wrong, there are 3 tables or 13 tables where a
No,
team member can write.
it's the policy is now different. There are two
Okay.
things. One is on-premise policy is different, and cloud policy is different for the SaaS. So let me just find out if I can find out that page. Uh, so what they have done is for on-premise, they gives you 3 tables plus all the system tables. For
To
SaaS,
read or write.
read is all complete.
Okay, read is all.
Uh,
Okay.
but for what you say,
Right.
write, on-premise will have 13 plus lot more functionalities. On the cloud, less functionalities, but 15 tables of database or custom tables, whatever you call it.
One quick question, because I'm always confused about this part. When you say 3 table or 15 table, wherever you are,
Yeah.
do partner or customer decide those table or they are default tables?
So any tables, whether it's a custom built table or Microsoft tables or a ISV tables, the user can, the admin of the client can decide.
So it runs based on the license attached to team
User,
member. Oh, sorry,
no,
permission attached to team
yes,
member.
yes,
So let's say in a user is you assigned to a team member license, and I'm assigning him, let's say, customer vendor item, but then there is a second team member user for which I'm assigning customer ledger entry, vendor ledger entry, and item ledger entry.
mm,
So that's based on the permission that is assigned.
yes. Now, can I share my screen?
Yeah, please.
I hope my system doesn't hang.
That's okay.
Sometimes it does. So this is the policy for SaaS, uh, Dynamics 365 Business Central Team Member License. Read data with Business Central. That's
Mhm.
normal. Update existing data and entries in Business Central, such as previously created customer, vendor, or item records. So that means
Update.
you cannot create new,
Yeah, you can
but
only
uh,
update. Okay.
and also you can update due dates
Okay.
on the
That
customer
makes
layer
sense.
entry.
Yep. That makes sense.
Approve or reject task in workflows.
Okay.
Create, edit, and delete a sales or purchase quote. Only quote, no order.
Okay.
Create, edit, and delete personal information.
Person. That's okay.
Job timesheet.
Mm-hmm.
Power automate thing.
Hmm.
Further now, Business Central to member application modules may be customized with 15 additional tables available to Business Central team member license. One of the thing, I don't know where it is written somewhere in the table, in this document, that
Mm-hmm.
these tables should pertain to the scenarios defined above.
Okay. So you can't, let's say, give a purchase order permission because
Yes,
they are limiting it to purchase.
not only
Okay.
that, you can't have a ISV solution with 2 tables and can give it. No.
Oh. Okay.
So anything within related to the scenarios.
Okay, and the for on-prem, the only rule change is about the number of tables, or there is something else?
A lot of things. So if I can go here, team member license. This is something specific that you can't do. 17
Not
and these four
authorized to
tables.
write.
Hmm.
That makes sense as in
Hmm.
17 and 4 tables. Okay.
And write access to maximum of 3 table objects,
Mm-hmm.
but you
And
can
read
do
access
anything.
to
But you can
read
do a
to
lot
anyone.
of things. Yeah. Create a customer with relevant contact details.
Okay.
Create means modify also. Create an
Right.
opportunity or existing campaign. Create a vendor.
Hmm.
Create a purchase order. Send a purchase order for approval.
Wow.
Timesheet. Document capture. Uh, 2 role centers.
Okay.
If there are more than 3 tables, then obviously you require full. But the biggest thing here, they give you appendix A.
Do not count
Yeah.
2 or 3 table. Okay. So excluding these tables
Yeah. So
is
these
what you
tables are
can define.
included. These tables are included.
Include. Oh, by default included.
Yeah. Yes. Plus 3.
Hmm. That's a pretty good sum of tables.
And what it does is, the important thing is, it does provide you warehouse, I believe. I've seen it.
Seriously?
Yes. In 16 it was, and I believe it's the same thing for this. Yeah. Warehouse request, activity header, registered warehouse activity header. So this is also included.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. That sounds cool. Anyone else have anything else to add or any questions here? I didn't do
Yes, it
anything.
is.
So yeah.
Yes, it is.
Uh,
I think there's a newer
Yeah.
licensing guide.
It should remain
Okay.
more or less the same.
They change it sometimes. So there's a newer one. I think like August 2022. I don't know how much it changed, but there is, I think, a newer one.
Yeah, I guess they reduced some table. I read it once, but I never understood it, so I never paid attention to it.
Okay.
But
Is
yeah,
this
I
one?
remember.
What date's this one, Sandeep? Is it June or
Uh,
2021?
This was 2021, April 2021. But I've seen, every time it comes, I normally download it. So
Okay. Yeah, they might not change much. Some of them have changed. This definitely seems to be less restrictive on premise, is my experience.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else have any questions to get clarity on team member? I'll also try to find the latest one if I can. And
I
still
will
this bridge to cloud promo is still active, right?
yes, up
Okay.
to December.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Sandeep sir. I guess the person who asked it would have got the answer. Let's move to the next question, and the next question is from Rishikesh, and I guess Rishikesh is here. And Rishikesh, I wanted to understand maybe a little bit about the question.
Yes, sir. Actually, the scenario is user is using handheld terminals, HST, to scan barcode. And when the barcode is scanned, by default, the barcode reader presses tab, right? And then on validate, we are trying to insert a new line that is doing perfectly fine. But the cursor moves to next control, to the line which is created. And the actual requirement is that cursor should not move. It should be on the same control.
So where are you scanning this? As a sorry, in the nav, which page it is where you are scanning it?
It is warehouse shipment.
Okay, so you scan and then it creates a line on your warehouse shipment.
Correct, correct.
So I scan one line and then the cursor automatically comes to the next line. But then you are saying it moves to the next field.
It goes to the next line, but I don't want to it to go to the next line. I want it to be on the same variable text box where it was scanned initially. And so that he can scan the next item and another line is created. He scans the next item and then another line is created.
I haven't seen it. As an, is it the part of the
That's not
base?
normally how it behaves, right? Normally it remains on the same text box.
No, it's moving, Sandeep sir.
And help me, as in I can test it out, I guess. But can you show me where it is? Let me open my BC. Okay, here I am. Let me see if I have any. I might not have enabled. Let me do that. Okay. Barcode is scanning. Okay, it's done. And let's go to warehouse shipments. Oh, and warehouse
What?
employee.
This property called as quick entry will resolve this or not? Actually, this such case occurred in my famous long ago in NAV, but that
Yeah,
was
in
using the quick entry property.
no, in NAV I have achieved it because in NAV I used send case using Windows object automation variable. But here quick entry is not resolving the problem. I tried with quick entry also. That's not resolving the. I got one article using saying to use control add-in and JavaScript, but that is working on browser but not on a mobile device.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What? What is this? Why I'm not allowed?
I've never seen this error.
Yeah, that's what I created the warehouse employee. What else it want me to do?
Your permissions?
I'm super. As in, I'm everything. I'm admin on this. Okay, I have
Can you check?
this. Yeah, why not? Let's see. Admin have everything.
So you're from the admin only, and there's only one user.
Yeah, yeah, only one user. So I have everything. No, no, it's working for whatever reasons. Okay. I don't have number series yet, but that's okay. Okay. That's okay, not a problem. Okay, so where do you scan it?
There is a custom text box added to this page on header part.
Okay, there's a custom text box that you have added. And what is written on that custom text box?
On validate to create lines based on the information which we receive from the scanner.
And how is it interacting with the scanner?
How means what?
As in, you scan a physical item, right?
Yes, correct,
On
correct. There
using
is
a
a
device,
sticker pasted on the box, and we are scanning that, and on basis
right?
of that, the lines are created. Yeah.
No. Just hold off here. So you scan it there. How that information passed from that device to Business Central?
Is scanner attached to the CPU or the mobile?
Mobile.
Okay.
So it's a
Scanner.
handheld device?
Yes, HHT, yes.
Okay.
You need a PDF for it.
Yeah, I'll have to test this somehow. I can't, Rishikesh, I can't answer until unless I've tested it, to be very frank.
Sure, no
And
problem, sir.
Anubhav is not here, but he was doing something I have heard around similar lines using Power Apps. So the scanner will talk will utilize the app from Powerapp, and as soon as it's scanned, it kind of insert that data into Business Central from there.
Okay.
And maybe that's the way going forward. I don't know. Next time if Anubhav is here, we can ask him how that app is working that he built. But I
Okay.
remember he was doing something from Power Apps around this or
Mm,
around the similar thing.
mm. It
Okay, so
took,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, same thing I was telling. I got one article which is using control add-in in JavaScript, but that is working on browser, not from mobile device. That is the
If it is working on the browser, then it's a mobile limitation more or less. And you're using the mobile client or you're using the browser on mobile?
mobile client, sorry.
So that might be an issue on the mobile client, and you can't connect it to PC, right? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you might want to read about the limitation that Microsoft have on the mobile client because it's not yet fully baked in, as far as I remember.
Okay.
Anyone else have anything to add on that? Okay. If not,
Just a small update. I
yeah,
just went on and downloaded the latest license guide, which is of September 2022.
as
That
Dan was
means
saying.
latest.
Okay. Okay.
And it has got one change, universal code license fees.
Initiative.
License fees
Oh,
for it. So this is
okay.
licensing guide.
Yeah, because Universal Code Initiative starts from January 1st.
Yes.
Yeah, whosoever is using any kind of .NET or any on-premises scoped functions, those customer will have to buy those modules. And I guess the base app one doesn't kick off till next year. No, the base app one kicks this year. The pertinent extension catch starts, I guess, next year. Let me find out the article if I remember it correctly. Mm, And that's a pretty significant cost there because,
And there's one important thing. This is
yeah,
only applicable to new customers, not to existing, until unless they upgrade.
they upgrade, which means that, yeah, they will have to. I guess that's how it is right now, right? As in, yeah, they can stay on a version for a while. But yeah, so the base object, oh, so the base object for 22 was 20, but yeah. For the custom app or the pertinent extension for calendar year 2023, it'll still be 0. But for if you have base app modified for any premises customer, they will start have to pay $75 per user per year fees to utilize that customized base app extension. And that start from January 1st. For new customers, as Sandeep was saying, and if somebody upgrades, then I guess the restriction is defined at the point of uh, just give me a second. Okay, so that kicks off from sorry, that will be limiting it while you are trying to publish your extension on prem. So if you haven't paid the fees and if you haven't purchased those modules, you'll not be able to publish those apps once this kicks off in 2023. But for PTs, it's 2024.
And I'm not sure if this Archer point is right or not. Because the plain reading of what Microsoft is writing in the licensing guide, it is basically impacting only the new customers. Old customer, there is nothing they're writing about upgrade. Here, like this Archer point is mentioning,
No,
license.
I read it, I guess, in the same way as it is written here. And now maybe they have changed it, but this was the statement that until they upgrade. I remember, and this is initial conversation from Microsoft, and maybe they have changed it.
Can I share the screen?
Yeah, please.
So this is where it writes. Starting October 3, 2022, on-premise customers transitioning and customer transitioning to NAV, Business Central on-premise from NAV or GP. They have, if they use code customization that are non-universal code compatible, they must license one or both. However, on-premise implementation prior to October 3, 2022, based upon first registration date, are exempt.
Hmm.
It does not say anything about upgrade.
Yeah, I guess that's, and might be they have changed their instance on it, but what I'm looking at, and let me share my screen because it was not just, I guess, we that wrote it. I guess everybody who was thinking, reading about it back then, have wrote it. So let's see what Waldo was saying. Waldo also had, what is this? This won't affect customers who license BC Prem before April 2022. And okay, it doesn't talk about upgrades. The fine remains same, as in the cost remains same. What is Delmia saying? And these are the screenshot from Microsoft at that point. Exempt from fees in 2022. That's okay. Will be charged for non-universal code license by customer. And then he also don't talk about upgrade. But I remember having this slide deck from Microsoft, the whole one. Maybe I misread it somewhere.
So Saurabh, it is saying that we cannot modify or extend the base objects.
You can extend the base object. You cannot go ahead and modify the base app itself. It's allowed that you modify the base app and then publish it as a custom base app. And
Okay, it is on base old Navision version where we can modify the base objects, code units, or all these things.
no, you can
So
still modify it in the AL version. You can still create your customized base app if needed. But if you do so, then you'll start, those customers will start getting charged starting this year. And if you have utilize methods which are on-premise specific on your pertinent extensions, like most of the method in file management, which are targeted on-prem, or if you're using any .NET instances on your customer code, then they'll start getting charged for that starting 2024 for new customers, as Sandeep sir is saying.
okay.
Okay. Sorry for this deflection, but I guess that's important to know. Okay, so let's move ahead and see some of the things that are happening around this. And I again misspelled somewhere, doing it fast. It's service and platform. Sorry for that. There are some changes for the performance that Microsoft is doing behind the scene, and we should know it because it impacts how those will impact when you define a field as what do we call that? Obsolete. So going forward, starting this release, Microsoft will not fetch the fields used in the filter flow fields until unless there is a flow field calculation that is happening in your code. So when you do a what is that? Find set. A typical find set fetches all the fields from the main table and then all the extension table that are attached to that particular table. And then that degrades the performance of your code. Microsoft made a huge performance improvement on that, which is around partial partial load. And that's just adding one more line into your code before you write a find set, or you need a subset of records from a table. And we did talk about it in the previous sessions. You can surely talk about it, see them again. they surely help the performance in a drastic way, but at the same time, there are people who are still unaware about the partial load, and that's where Microsoft is trying to do whatever they can from their end to increase the performance of the code. So going forward, the fields will not be picked until unless that flow field is being calculated in your code. It will also not load the obsolete field either from Microsoft ISV or from your code if you have marked as obsolete, unless you are running an upgrade code where you might move the data from obsolete field to a new field. And Sandeep sir, anything?
The first line, which is the
Mm-hmm.
it won't join data from a table extension that has fields used to filter flow fields.
Yes, until unless there is a calculation of flow field. So, like, if you are, what would be the example?
So
So filter
the only
flow
thing
field.
applicable will be flow filters, right?
Yeah, only flow filters. Flow filters.
If the flow filter is referring to a, say, for example, if I'm reading customer layer entry and I'm doing a total from the detailed customer layer entry, and if I'm filtering it, the amount field, which is a flow field based upon certain flow
Right.
filter, and my extension has one field, which is being used in that formula.
And how is that? I guess that's what
Well,
I'm a little bit confused. Yeah, but maybe a field in your extension, which is a flow field, right? And then you also have a flow filter attached to it, where you are utilizing some flow filters from Microsoft plus your custom flow filter, right? Then that flow filter will only be fetched if there is a calculation of the your custom flow field that's happening in the code.
but it's basically related to join data. It won't join data. That's what they're writing.
Yeah, so because especially the flow fields and flow filter are, as we all know, are the virtual entities, right? They're not stored in SQL, so there is no select start. It's actually um, fetching that value from, if there is a index created to store that value, then it is actually trying to call that index to fetch that value by applying those temporary fields filter, which is flow filters. So I guess they saw that there is some delay on that end, and that's where they are trying to modify how the data stack has been fetched from SQL to the Business Central or AL code. Now let's see
Fine.
how that works. I'm not completely sure about it, but yeah, anybody who haven't heard about the partial load, do read about it if you're a developer, because that drastically changes how a select statement will work in terms of SQL. If one table that you're trying to do a find set, let's say have 10 extensions, it's a boon, as in it's nothing better than using the partial load because it just makes it super fast. So do read about it if you're a developer, because that will surely help you while you're writing your code in a performance optimized way. The other change which I have seen in past is about compiling against the installed app source app. So till now, what used to happen, if you have a pertinent extension which surely have a dependency on Microsoft code, but it also have a dependency on, let's say, an ISVX. So when you deploy your app, it actually, as of today, tries to compile it to the latest version of that X ISV that is available on the app source. And that is causing some problems. We did report a problem to Microsoft around that lines. But now going forward, which is a great thing, that they will compile that against what is installed on your environment where you are deploying that app. So if you don't know it, on your Business Central SaaS, you can delay a little bit in terms of when your apps get upgraded. When you come, not on this one, but let's say I come to this one. In the apps area, you see all the apps that are available on this environment from Microsoft or from third parties. And then you will see some updates available here if ISV have made some changes. but they get updated majorly with the minor updates from Microsoft or major updates from Microsoft by default. So what is happening if you deploy a pertinent extension which is dependent on an ISV app, and you have a version 1 installed of that ISV, but the latest version that's available on app source is, let's say, version 5. As of today, Microsoft was compiling it against version 5, which will have it adverse effect because there might be some functions or some fields that they might have obsolete into the future version, which were in the process and completed the minimum guideline of a year, which is not yet available in version 1. So I know there was issues around it, but that's just behind the scene. Until unless you have seen it, you'll not know about it. Telemetry is something that I'm super interested in. I'm actually started understanding the power of it, and we are going to start utilizing it for all our SaaS customers. Now, Microsoft is putting a lot of effort on telemetry. There are, I guess, hundreds of signals that Microsoft is emitting at this moment for Business Central, especially SaaS. And they're also not just emitting signal, but also providing templates, Power BI templates, to kind of analyze that data from a tenant or from multiple tenants. And you can even compare that data using those Power BI. So if you haven't seen those, these templates are available on GitHub, Microsoft site, where you can just download them and then configure it to your application site key so that you can fetch that data. But starting this version, if you are interested in it, then it all can be done automatically with a single click that will pull the Power BI templates which are available on GitHub and will provide or copy it to your environment and will connect it to automatically. Now, just a reminder, there is a cost associated when you get into telemetry, because all the signals that emit that data from the different environment where you have configured it, it will be stored somewhere on Azure. Now, how much does that cost is all that you can check on Azure portal. And then there is also a retention policy against it, that how long you would like to retain this data. So let's say you say, oh, I just need it for 3 months. Then after 3 months, the Azure will automatically start deleting that data so that your database size doesn't grow drastically. We understood it as the power of telemetry and how it will help in long run to all our customers and to us. But if you haven't read about it, surely read about telemetry. That's surely the direction that everybody should be looking at, to kind of keep an eye on environment from the perspective of performance of certain code segments, or even overall a customer performance of the code. That's all on service and platform. The next one, where again Microsoft surely puts some efforts all the time on onboarding. So the cool thing, which was a problem and every partner was trying to do their way, more or less, to make sure that their customers are happy when they install their app, but there was no kind of predefined way from Microsoft that how you should be configuring it. So what happens now is, if you go to app source, which you only go on SaaS, and I don't know about this on-prem, but I'm hoping this will be there because it's a development feature. And let's say if I look for image analyzer, which is one of the Microsoft extension, which I've already uninstalled. Okay, come on. Okay. That's how you do it. Your customer goes to app source from within Central, find the app that they want, go to this install option. Earlier, what used to happen when you click this till version 20, it used to go behind the scene, and then it was the administrator responsibility to come to extension management and check the status of the deployment and is it deployed or not. With this version, Microsoft have given an option to ISVs especially to invoke a wizard as soon as the extension get installed. So they don't have to go 10 different places or reach out to 10 different people to understand how I set it up. So these setup pages are now part of your development when you're doing it. And then even if customer discards it here and they want to set it up later, so let's say the base Microsoft app, you can either click on these three dots and say setup, or you can choose that option up here, and that will show you all the setup things that you need to do to make sure this extension is in place. This is base app, so all the Microsoft onboarding stuff are here. But you can pick any app that is available. Like just once we installed Image Analyzer and click on setup, and it'll open a wizard if you have defined a wizard thing, and it'll start running. So it helps user not to go, or administrator not to go to 30 different places. You know, some people do it on kind of a list page where there are steps that you need to perform. So just to make it consistent, I cannot show you in the development at this moment because I don't have the VSIX file yet, but I'm pretty sure that's one of the property that will be available as soon as a new VIX launch happens on October 1st. Now, the other one about the easily find apps to connect to the core services, it's still more or less under the hood at this point. The detail talks about that Business Central will be able to recommend you the services which are important to your business, like bank connections and other connections. I was trying to dig it up, but didn't find much at this moment. But what's there is you can just search for connectivity app. I guess that's what it's called. Yeah. And right now it's empty. But the idea is that if you remember, there was an extension that Microsoft built in the previous release called recommended app. Now, recommended app were more or less for the partners, that you can define your recommendation to your customers by using this extension. There are some code step that you can write, and that will fill up that recommended app section, and they can directly install it from the recommended app page. Now, this is on a bigger note, I guess, and we'll have to understand how Microsoft fills this page going forward, because I'm hoping there are so many services like this. And is there a filter that Microsoft is applying? Is something under the hood yet? So once this become available, we'll see what kind of services that you see on this environment when you go into this page. And easy install and setup is the same thing. Earlier, when you, as I was saying, when you install an app on your Business Central environment, from either from app source or from a pertinent extension, what you have to do is once you have chosen that app and it started getting installed, you will always have to come to this page, and this will show you that, oh, this is completed or is still running and all. So every time, just to keep an eye on it, you have to come here and see, is it installed or not yet? Is it installed or not yet? Now, it's as an administrator, it's your choice how you'd like to see this. You can either let it run behind the scene as it used to run earlier, or you can just wait for it as it is installing on your environment. Nothing much changed there, but just kind of a help for the administrator to make sure it doesn't, they have an option which route they want to go. Power Platform. Go ahead. Anyone was saying something?
Can we use this image scanner for scanning check signature or all this type of things?
I haven't tested it out, but I guess I'll have to check this, because in the image scanner, you still have to buy a service, which is, let me see, it's part of the setup. Let me see this. You have to buy this computer, Microsoft Cognitive Services, and you can surely, because there is a 90-day trial that you can take and test it out. But it says that it is used to items uploaded on item contact picture, so that you can assign them for items, image analyzer attribute color for contact, detect age and gender. I don't think yet it's available for checks and all. But yeah, I remember doing a trial of it in the Directions Asia one time where this was new, and you have to buy the service. I don't know the charges of it, but you can surely check it. They give you a 90-day trial to kind of test it out. So I would highly encourage you to test this out first and then see is it even doing what you want it to do. Yeah, this is the page, and I guess I don't know about the pricing and all, but they give you a 90 days trial, and then this gives you a key that you need to utilize here so that that service can invoke and do the image analysis for you. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. On the Power Platform side, the first one is super important. I don't know how this will play, but these seem super important. The Business Central connectors for Power Platform will now be able to support media and image files, which is a great thing in case of bulk upload that you have to do from APIs and all. If medias and images can be supported directly, as in, if I remember, we didn't do it from Power Platform, I guess. We did it from API pages by converting it to base 64. So till now, if you have to handle this, you have to convert your media or image into a base 64. And I don't know what Microsoft is doing on that line. But the news is that this will be part of the Business Central connectors going forward for Power Platform. The automate action, which came as a preview, I guess, in the last preview, and then it went away. But again, it's in preview, so I'm not guaranteeing anything. But again, you now can see these Power Automate actions on all of your pages in this tab. What that topic is saying is you will also be able to, when you personalize your ribbon, you'll also be able to move these or make them promoted if that's something that you use frequently. But again, no guarantees at this moment, because in the last preview we saw that, and then in the actual read it was removed, and I don't know what's the plan for this one. So let's see. Now I was trying this, the Powerapp and Power Automate support for document attachment, but I was not able to test it out, and maybe because of the lack of info that's available at this moment. But what I was trying, and let me see if it is still active, that when I go ahead and create a flow from here, it surely will take me to Power Automate. But from there, it is asking something which I guess yet not enabled from Microsoft side, because the release is not yet available. Okay, come on. What happened? Data flow. The previews are supposed to be previews, I guess. So need to wait there. But yeah, there is something that it says that you select the environment, which makes sense. You select the company within the environment, which again makes sense. But then it says page or table, and maybe I'm seeing it for the first time, so I don't know. But when you read the description, it says the Business Central page or table that this flow will run against, such as table 18 or page 21, page 22. So I don't know, as in I did try typing table 18, nothing happened. As in I was not able to save it or move anything further. So we'll have to wait to see what happens as next. As in, because if I click on add, it gives me option to add, let's say a file, and then it kind of giving me an option to create menus. These are the questions more or less it seems will be generated when somebody invokes this Power Automate flow. Now, how that happens, let's see, because I can't paste in my values here, I guess. Oh, I can. Okay. So let's see how this one shapes like, because I tried for a while and I was not able to save this or move anywhere next on this. So let's see what's new in that part once it becomes available. This was a very common problem to the customers who are not using Power BI, that even with the personalized, they can't hide the Power BI fact box, which is available on most of the pages. Now you can do that going forward. As I said earlier, with personalization, now you can do these crazy parts, as well as you can also modify actions and their placements. Now, this is again pretty less information available at this moment, that there is a Power Automate flow that you can build to notify Business Central when the Dataverse entity changes, which means Dataverse acts as consider it as a pipe, which is used to kind of interact in different business and Dynamics 365 application. But till now, it seems it was unidirectional, as in it was sending data from Business Central to Dataverse, and then anybody can utilize it. But now it seems that going forward, if let's say a CRM system changes something in the Dataverse, the Business Central will get notified of the change that happened on the Dataverse entity. So let's see how that all bakes in once it becomes uh, available in the next release, in the October release, and we'll see it then. Okay, I guess that's all today. Anything else or any the next week? Okay, in that case, we'll continue this next week. And just a reminder, next week will be the last week before I start my travel. So we'll have to take a break for a while till the point I come back from US, which will be post Diwali. I guess we'll meet after Diwali now, after next week.
And Saurabh, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू एवरीवन. सौरभ वो जरा देखिएगा अगर कुछ मिले तो प्लीज.
Sure, sir. Not a problem.
वो बारकोड स्कैनर वाला.
हाँ.
कौन
I'll have
सी कंपनी का स्कैनर यूज कर रहे हो?
कौन सी कंपनी का स्कैनर सर?
Because this PDS can differ.
ये तो मुझे चेक करना पड़ेगा सर क्लाइंट से.
And Rishikesh, you can send me an email and I can forward it to Sandeep, sir, if needed.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Okay then.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you all. Okay.
हेलो सौरभ.
Yes, sir.
क्या हाल है? ठीक है आप?
Yeah, ठीक है भाई.
यार मैं असल में अभी MBA 800 की तैयारी कर रहा था.
Okay.
तो मुझे ना थोड़ी सी गाइडेंस चाहिए कि मैं किन किन टॉपिक्स पे ज़्यादा फोकस रखूं. और अभी क्योंकि ये माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का क्लाउड वीक था तो उसमें काफ़ी सारी चीज़ें चेंजेस भी थी. बट उसमें गाइडेंस तो थी अच्छी कि कहाँ कहाँ पे जो ना आपको रखना है. बट जो मेजर पोर्शन है फाइनेंशियल्स का और जो परचेज का है, और ये वो उन्होंने हाईलाइट किया था कि ये एक पार्ट है जहाँ पे ज़्यादा चेंजेस आती हैं. बाकी तो फिर माइनर चेंजेस वगैरह आती हैं. ऑब्वियसली जो मेन सेटअप है वो तो वैसे ही रहता है ओवर द ईयर्स. तो आप क्या कहते हो, किधर से मैं गाइडेंस लूँ और क्या कैसे तैयारी रखूँ अपनी?
आपका
क्या एक्सपेक्ट करूँ?
रिन्यूअल का है कि फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट है?
फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट है.
हाँ, तो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट का एक्चुअली वही है जो लर्न पोर्टल पे है, एग्जैक्टली सेम है, लगभग मोटा मोटा बाइफरकेशन. ठीक है. थोड़े से कंफ्यूजिंग क्वेश्चन आएंगे, वो आपको क्या पता लगे जर्नल वाले. ठीक है, क्योंकि उनमें थोड़ी डेट्स थोड़ी सी कंफ्यूजिंग सी हो जाती है. That's one area. And what else? Company creation may be confusing if you haven't created company and seen what all different option does. So that is also defined in that help, or not help, learn portal in detail. But because we come from NAV, we tend to assume that we know it, right? But then these different options have surely different impact on what option you choose when you're creating a new company via Wizard. There surely will be very simple ones also. Like you will not take any time on those. But then, yes, I appeared it for last year, so I don't know because I'll have to reappear it before November to keep it active. But I prepared only from the Microsoft Learn portal. I didn't went anywhere else. I didn't look anything else or read any other books. Just specifically only on the Microsoft Learn portal, which is available.
ठीक है। अच्छा, आपने लास्ट टाइम बताया था मुझे डिवीजन का ना कि लाइक आई गेस 20 क्वेश्चंस जो थे वो उसमें से थे सिनेरियो बेस्ड थे केस स्टडी में से।
हाँ, there are
और
scenario based question, right? मैं भूल
हम्म,
भी गया था. There are scenario
अच्छा,
based question where you have a scenario and then there are some multiple follow up questions based on that scenario.
ठीक है।
Now the problem is that you keep a pen or a paper, so you always have to come back and read the scenario in some cases. But yeah, I guess there was some scenario which was a little bit complex, which was about pricing and all. It gets a little bit tricky at times.
हम्म,
But yeah, there is a scenario section. And there are again multi-choice of questions are in any case available, right?
ठीक है। अच्छा, इसमें तुक्का कितना लग सकता है?
I don't know, man. Because you don't know, to be very fair, right? Because
हम्म,
you just appear for it and you don't know which questions you get correctly or wrong. That's just, I guess, that's the hard way out. I don't think you get that out of these questions. And even if you get that you correctly answer question number one, you don't remember at that point what was question number one. Especially on scenarios, it's super hard to remember, right?
हम्म,
So
सही।
yeah, it's just when you are giving it and what kind of answers you are giving. You'll only know it at the end. But I think you'll surely get some time to review your questions if you go to a certain pace, which is the time is pretty efficient, to be fair. That you can actually think about the question and then answer it. My style is that if I don't know, then I'll mark it for later. My style is to
हम्म,
first go and see whatever I can complete in less time. Once that is done, I revisit items that I haven't done.
सही।
So, but yeah, that's how it is, I guess. Everybody has their own style around that.
हाँ, नहीं, अच्छी, ये तो अच्छी अप्रोच है इसको लेके चलना। अच्छा, ब्रेक डाउन आपको याद है कि कितना था? जिस तरह से ये 20 क्वेश्चन थे, फिर 5 to 6 कहीं और भी थे, अब मुझे भी वो भूल गया है।
I
I guess,
seriously don't remember it now because mine is due renewal. That means I'm already 1 year past that, right? Anybody who would have given it fresh may be able to give you the advice on it and would remember it more freshly.
ठीक है।
I appeared on it in September, I guess, September or October last year, which is already around the same time.
हाँ, एंड आई गेस मैंने भी तभी पूछा था, बट यार ऑब्वियसली काम हो तो फिर उसके साथ इस तरह से इन चीज़ों के लिए वक्त निकालना आई गेस मुश्किल हो जाता है। बट अभी थोड़ा सा था एक अपॉर्चुनिटी कि यार अब एक बारी वंस एंड फॉर ऑल शुरू तो करें ना, फिर बाद में तो रिन्यूअल होता रहता है।
Right.
सो
Appear for it,
ठीक।
man. Don't worry so much. It's okay. It's again NAB or Business Center. I would highly recommend that you surely go through that Microsoft Learn portal, the whole class. It takes some time. I didn't do it in one go. I blocked 2 hours or 3 hours every day to go
ठीक
through
है।
it. Whatever modules I can complete in 2-3 hours, revisited it, continued it next day and all. So yeah, I'll highly recommend to read through it because if there are any new changes that would I'll have to revisit it. And the beauty of the Learn portal is that if you have completed a module and you revisit, let's say after a year, like I'll revisit now, anything that changed in that training between that 1 year gap, it'll show me as uncompleted, only that part. So now
अच्छा,
I can just go and only do the delta if needed,
सही सही।
right?
बेहतरीन।
So it'll help you in not just this year, but next year when you are reapplying for it, or renewing it, it'll also be able to tell you that this is what we have added in 1 year. So you just revisit that part then.
सही सही हो गया। चले, ठीक है। फिर और ये जो मॉक्स होते हैं और जो डंप्स वगैरह हैं, इनके बारे में क्या ख्याल है?
पता नहीं यार, डम्स का पता नहीं। मॉक्स जो होते हैं वो बड़े ही tough होते हैं। I did attend this cloud class that you might have attended, right? From Microsoft. They give you some mock test, but they
Yes.
were way off from the actual exam, to be very fair. I don't think that there was any, because those exams were way off. As in, when I did those mock tests, they never really. I was super worried after doing the mock test, to be fair. Like, oh man, if these kind of questions are coming, I'm going to fail. But when I actually
Acha.
appeared for the exam, they were pretty easy. The mocks one are not completely written, I guess. They didn't have all the information when you're trying to answer it and all. So yeah, mocks for sure. I don't know now, but back then they were not that good. The mocks were not that good.
अच्छा, और मेरा डिफरेंट टोटली डिफरेंट एक्सपीरियंस है। और अभी मैं ये सोच रहा था क्योंकि मुझे मॉक्स जो है वो काफ़ी आसान लगे हैं, और इवन मैंने अपने कोलीग्स वगैरह के साथ भी शेयर किए, तो वो उनको भी लग रहा था, कहते हैं यार इतना अगर इजी है तो ये माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का लेवल हो नहीं सकता कि आपसे वो इतनी बेसिक इंफॉर्मेशन पूछ रहे होंगे।
They might have
बट
they might have
हाँ,
changed it now. That's what I'm saying. In a year, there is, let's put it this way, there are 2 major versions every year. So there is
हाँ,
a lot changing every year. And
ऐसे
I haven't given the mark, but I'm pretty sure if you're feeling that, you might have updated those for better, which is good.
सही।
Okay,
नहीं
sir,
तो
then.
ऐसे
Okay.
ऐसे ठीक है, हो गया। थैंक यू सो मच।
Okay, man. Thanks.
टेक केयर, बाय।
Bye.